So moving on into our next video on some easy accessibility fixes that we can do from within UDOIT and Canvas. Uh, Look at a topic that can seem a little bit intimidating if you don't really understand what it means, but a lot of times it's actually some pretty easy fixes. Occasionally it might require you to reformat some documents, depending on how things are set up. But usually it's a pretty simple fix, and you can knock out a lot of these kind of issues without having to do a whole lot of work. So we'll look at page headings. So there's a couple spots this comes up: page structure, page headings, and styled headings. They all kind of fall in the same category when we look at the structure part of this. So what it's saying is we need to make sure we use heading labels when we're presenting content kind of in an outline form or where there's sections of information. So we have to make sure that we don't skip them, make sure that they all contain text like they're supposed to, make sure that we're not kind of on that same level of just using color. We don't want to just make something bold and then that's assumed that that's the the heading for that section. We want to make sure that we're using the actual markup. We might have headings missing, and then we might have some sort of tabular data. This one does not come up very often. I think currently right now there's one issue that we have across all courses where that's a thing. So let's go ahead and click on page headings. And again, this could show up in different places in different ways, but they all kind of relate back to the same thing. Just a little bit of detail as far as how UDOIT breaks it down. So here we can see it's telling us that heading levels may have been skipped. So we're not really sure what that means. And our preview here doesn't do a great job. It just shows us what's the heading level. So when I open the page up, I can kind of have an idea of where I'm going, but fixing it from here isn't even an option because they're not sure how to handle it either. So we'll go ahead and open that page. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit. And you'll remember back on our page, it said it was around heading 2. So I'm going to go down and find that heading 2, and I'm going to look. And here, under the headings drop down, I see that that's marked as heading 3. That could be acceptable, but if there are no other headings above it, so it looks like none of these things, which we're going to look at in a different error report here soon, have a heading tag tied to them. So what it's telling us is there's a problem because we skipped over heading 2 and went right to heading 3. And you might wonder, well, where's heading 1? Heading 1 is always the page title. Canvas reserves H1 because there should only ever be one H1 tag on any document. Everything else should be, you can have as many 2s, 3s, 4s, and so on that you want. You just can only have one heading 1. So I can fix that by going in here and changing this to heading 2. But then it's worth going down and checking because now I have a second heading 2. Okay, that makes sense. I can do that. But then down here I have a heading 4. So I went 2, 2, 4, and I skipped over 3. I can't have that. I need this to be heading 3 information. And you might also ask the question here, what if I don't want it to be 28.8 font? Okay, you can adjust it to however you would like. You can set that back to 12-point font if you want, but notice the heading 2 sticks. Why this matters is if this is a long document, I just put in fillers here for information as they might be, but if those were paragraphs of information and I'm using a screen reader and I need to go back and find a specific spot to review for my class, and I have to listen to the whole thing from top to bottom because I don't have the ability to jump around using those headings, that could be problematic. So anytime you're presenting information, try to always structure it kind of in that outline format that you have headings and subheadings, so that it's easy to kind of jump around and at least sift through the information more quickly than having to listen to the whole thing or just blindly skip from place to place. All right. We're going to go back. We're going to go back to this page. We're going to close this out, and I want to go back because we're going to see some more issues on that same page if I go here under styled headings. And this is where it's saying they might be used, styles might be used instead of the markup structure, which comes from some of those same pages. Let's go ahead and look. We'll go ahead and look, and this looks familiar because it's on the page that we're currently on, right? So again, I could open this up and go there directly, even though I'm already there. I'm going to go ahead and edit this page, And like I alluded to briefly a little bit ago, you'll see that this is larger font, it's bold, it's underlined. When UDOIT scans, it assumes like, hey, this should be some sort of heading. Maybe you don't want it to be. If that's the case, you probably need to reevaluate how this is set up, because if you don't want it to be a heading, then you don't need to have all that formatting on it. Maybe just making it slightly bigger in font size. More often than not, though, you just want to apply the heading like you're supposed to. So probably consider this would be heading 2. Again, it's going to flag this next one down because this also looks like some sort of a subheading. So I could hit that one as 3. I can do this one as 4. This one's also underneath that, so I'm going to do that one as 4 as well. And then one more here. This one also is 4. Okay, so again, I can go back and change that however I like. If I'd like to put color and bold or italic or underline on that, if I want to change the font size a little bit, that's fine. What you visually put on there is completely and totally up to you. We just have to make sure that it's clicked and marked with these tags. You might find you have some files where it's telling you that you have markup issues, that you should have headings in certain places or things are skipped. Sometimes you clicked on one of those by accident when you built the page and don't even know what's in there. Other times it's just saying based off how this looks that should have those. Some of those pages might need to be reworked to fit into a good setup so they can have those headings applied. Some of them might need to be completely gotten rid of. Some of them might be easily savable, kind of like this one was, because it was pretty clear as to what it was asking for. This is also a good time to mention, you'll notice down here this accessibility logo and then the number here saying that we still have some issues. And this stuff will be picked up from time to time in the UDOIT report. But it's always good if you have a page open and it's telling you there's issues, go ahead and click on what those are, because it might save you some time later from opening that same page again and having to go back into it. And every once in a while, the Canvas checker finds different things than the UDOIT checker and vice versa. So good things that we need to look at those items. So what this is flagging here is it says it should be formatted as a list. Okay, so if you manually type in lists and use dashes or asterisks or some other mark, we don't really want to do that, again, because screen readers don't know what that's there for. It's just going to say dash and then read the information. If we want it to be a list, then we need to use the tool within the content creator, the rich content editor, to apply that as an actual list. Okay, and then we want to make sure we're using bullets and numbers properly. Bullets are for lists that don't need a particular order. It's just a group of items that we want to put together. For information that does matter sequentially, we want to make sure that we use numbers in that situation. And maybe there's other instances where you want to use letters or Roman numerals. That would work as well. But usually we have to have those. Sometimes this gets a little annoying because now I have to go back through and remove my old item or my old numbers. But that would take care of that information. This is telling us we have one more issue here. Heading level should not be skipped. It looks like it's on this one here, 4. Oh, it's because these didn't save from the other page because I never saved them. So important lesson in making sure that we save stuff. So there, we could apply this to heading 2 quickly. And then go back to heading 4. And then see, it doesn't even allow us to apply anymore because we went ahead and took care of it on our own. We're going to save this one so those issues don't come back like we don't want them to.